Doctor, how did you discover the brain thermal tunnel?
I would say most fascinating part of this is to discover something that was created. So make life so easy when you don't have to create anything. You simply are blessed to find some structure in the body perfectly created for transmission of brain thermal signals. How I was able to do it is by looking, and that's my advice to everyone who wants to discover something that history shows everyone else failed. Look why they failed. The military, why they failed. And the answer was, by the way, the Royal French Academy was very close to discover the tunnel, but they didn't. The Germans, too. The reason is because what is the least important of the tissues? What it is in the body. The one that everybody talks to and say, oh my gosh, you have too much of what? They say, oh, we have too much of it. I want to get rid of it. My heart, oh my gosh, I have too much of that in my heart. So it's the most vilified tissue. What is it that you want to get rid of it? Fat. And in fat was the answer. And what happened is that, and that's a lesson, never discard anything, anyone, because on the cover it looks like they don't have value. But when you go deep down inside, you may find a treasure. It can be a human being. It can be an opportunity. In this case, was the human body. And in fact, was the secret. Why? Because when they were trying to go to the brain to discover how to do it, what everyone did, over 100 brains dissected by the Germans, the British, the French, the Americans, you remove fat because you want to see the important, you want to see the vessels, you want to see the noble tissues. That's what I did different. I didn't look at fat as a tissue. I look at the whole brain as what are the thermophysical properties of each. Because if I'm trying to understand thermodynamics, I have to talk in the same language. The language is thermophysics. And at that point, I look at fat as what was the thermophysical property and was what? Fascinating. The lowest thermal conductivity tissue in the body. So, what did I do? Fat was the hero, not the villain, not the vilified. So even in something that appears to be the one take your beauty away or your health away, there was the value actually of bringing life and keeping you alive. Because what that low thermal conductivity tissue had in the orbit, so when you are dissecting, you remove fat. Well, guys, the brain does not have fat. So everybody said, oh, that's why, because think about that, can you believe that? The brain does not have fat. And everybody said, oh, well, you're fat free. I'm going to tell you. If you stay with us, you can say your wife, or husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, hey, I'm fat-free. All right, it's very interesting. But the brain does not have. So all of a sudden there's fat, in this area, the orbit. Yeah, well, let's remove it so you get from here to the brain. But wasn't that fat the answer? Because it created an envelope of low thermal conductivity tissue. So it's insulated. Now, what unfolded in front of me was a thermal tunneling effect. Perfectly surrounded, and there was a blood vessel in the middle. Very interesting, looks like an anomaly because it's very slow moving, and then I'll tell what this blood vessel can cause. That's why it was strange. But now you have slow moving blood that appears no meaning, but when you surrounded that by low thermal conductivity tissue, it's a tunnel. It's perfect. So the signal inside that tunnel cannot get out, or signals cannot go in. The brain was talking to the environment. The brain was talking to the universe. Your brain talks to the universe through this tunnel. There's no more power than where in your body the brain is talking to the cosmos. And that was because of fat. So the tissue that was vilified is the tissue that's vital. If you remove that, you don't live. Just for you to understand. And it's very interesting. Let me tell you a story. You see somebody obese, right? Think about this. Somebody obese. We have fat behind the eye. Fat. Everybody has fat behind the eye. That's part of the tunnel. But it's orbital fat, right there. The orbit is bone. So if you become over obese, and the fat in the eye would grow, like the fat in the belly, what happens? Obese people would go blind. But not only that, have you seen those beautiful, fancy, cute butterball babies? Like they would go blind if the fat in their body would grow behind the eye the same way because you compress the optic nerve. So can you believe that? That's the only fat in the body that is not vulnerable to our wishes, our sins, our gluttony. You can eat as much as you want. I have a photograph of the heaviest man who ever lived. It's like 1,300 pounds. Uribe, his name, unfortunately passed away. He's in the Guinness Book. His eye is normal, no bulging. There's fat everywhere in his body. The liver, the kidney, there's fat. But he could not put fat there. Doesn't matter how much he eats, because that is vital. That's the communication between brain and the universe. The world will see a new era of health, because once the brain becomes empowered, the body is empowered and will live as ever possible before.